And Joe, are you there?
I'm here.
Mr. Joe Dante is with us
my-
today, ladies and gentlemen.
What?
Mr. Joe Dante!
No way.
Happy birthday.
Wow.
That's Vic over
Wow.
here.
Hey,
I don't know
Joe.
if you can see him on your Zoom, but he is. You can definitely hear
up?
him.
This is quite the honor. I cannot believe that this is what a surprise, man.
Oh, it's apparently a surprise.
Wow.
Mr.
Wow.
Dante, Vic is such a fan. First of all, he's such a fan of the Burbs, but he's a fan
Right.
of all your movies, of course.
Right.
That old story.
So we just thought, wouldn't it be nice if you called in as a surprise? I would appreciate you doing this. How are you today? How are you? How are you hanging?
I'm
how
good.
you
I've
holding
been
up?
looking at you guys work, and you do really a lot with not a lot. You know, I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Thank you
I
so
mean,
much.
You know, I've worked for $1.98 in my day, and I know how hard it is. But the stuff you guys are putting together is, you know, it's clever, and it's really pretty polished looking.
Well, thank you so much, sir. You are responsible for my childhood in a lot of ways. I mean, with Gremlins, and the movie that stuck out to me when I looked at refreshed my memory about you is Innerspace. That movie, for some reason, that was the movie that was on every day on HBO or whatever it was, you know, when I was a kid. And I just, you know, I love that movie.
That and Beastmaster. That's what HBO stands
Right.
for. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Beastmaster's on.
There was like a time where it felt like they had 4 movies, right? Like the other one was
They just ran them continually.
The Money Pit. Remember the Money Pit with Tom Hanks?
Yep.
That was on every day. Vic, do you have a question for Joe? We don't want to keep Joe.
Man,
He's
I
a
don't.
Very
I
busy
just.
man.
I'm. No, it's a surprise. So I just want to say thank you for all your movies. But The Burbs was a big one for me. Like watching it with my dad growing up and everything. And I just think there's so many funny lines from Rick Ducommun. Is that how you say his name?
Dukeman, Rick Dukeman. You know, the funny thing about that movie is that it got the kind of reviews that, like, you know, captured Nazi propaganda got. It was
Yeah, that was what was that
the
period
critics
of?
just hated it, and it's gone on to become such a cult classic. And
That was like a weird period for Tom Hanks, right? He wasn't he wasn't as respected.
It was right before Big came out.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Because he was doing like
when we shot it.
Man with One Red Shoe and
Yeah, and Turner and Hooch and that kind of stuff.
right.
And so he was kind of finding his niche as a leading man. And on The Burbs, he was very concerned about having a kid. He thought if he plays a guy who has a kid, it's going to be the end of his leading man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then he went along with it. But
Could you talk a little bit about the alternate endings at all? Is that a
well,
secret?
there were a bunch of them.
Yeah.
We had one that we shot, and then we had a preview, and the preview went great until the very end, and then some guy said boring, and the studio said, "Well, you got to change the ending now." So the problem was that we were supposed to, you know, kill Tom Hanks off in the original script, and once they hired Tom, they said, "Well, we can't kill Tom Hanks."
No.
So now you have to explain what the Klopeks have been doing in their basement for the entire movie, which we never intended to explain. It was just supposed to be a bunch of weird stuff.
Right.
And we had to come up with excuses for what they're doing. We shot a version where there's a trunk load of cheerleaders in the car, and then we shot another one where the 2 garbage men are in the car. We did a bunch of different ones, but I think the one that's in the movie is probably the best one.
I wonder if Tom Hanks has ever died in a movie.
Well,
Philadelphia?
Oh, yeah, maybe
I
Philadelphia.
died in Larry Crown, but that was just at the box office.
Yeah.
What are you working on now? You cooking anything up?
Well, I'm sitting here just like you guys.
There's nothing to do, right?
Waiting for the new world to begin.
Yeah, there's nothing you can really do. Although
Well,
some people seem like
I'm
they're making
consulting
stuff.
on a Gremlins animated TV show.
Oh,
which
cool.
is on HBO Plus or HBO Max or whatever they're calling it now.
And you got I saw you started with you were doing TV. You did some Police Squad.
Yeah, I did two of the 6. Police
How,
Squad.
that I mean, how did you get into
It was
that?
a great
scene?
show.
How did you get into that?
I knew
scene?
I knew the Zuckers. They were friends of mine, and they, you know, I turned down Airplane to show you what kind of dummy I am. I didn't get it. I said, well, but this is I didn't realize that their whole plot, the whole thing that they do is to take existing material and just exaggerate it.
Right.
You know, Airplane is actually a movie called 0 Hour, which is a straight drama, and every single beat in Airplane is an exaggeration of something that's in Zero Hour. And they did the same thing with Police Squad, which was episodes of M Squad with Lee Marvin that they would take and they would just exaggerate.
Right.
And the reason the show didn't fly was because it didn't have a laugh track. And
Right.
it looked so much like a 60s cop show.
Yeah.
On
It would have
purpose.
killed it with a laugh track. I mean, it was just
That
would've
people thought, people turned the channel and said, oh, here's Leslie Nielsen in an old cop show. Which is changed
I
the
heard
channel.
this. I went to go see a screening of Airplane a few years ago, some anniversary of it, and you probably know this, but they were saying when they were starting to prep it in the Paramount, I think was it Paramount, the studio?
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying like, hey, we've got all these great comedy actors. We've got Robin Williams, we've got all these funny guys that we'd love for you to consider being in this movie. And they're like, no, we don't want any funny people in this movie. And they couldn't, as maybe the way you felt, they were like, I don't understand what you're talking about. You're making a comedy. Why don't you want Robin Williams to be in this movie?
No, then they discovered the error of that way when they tried to do the sequel, which of course the Zuckers didn't have anything to do with.
The Zuckers didn't have anything to do with Airplane 2?
No, they didn't want anything to do with Airplane 2. And so with the studio, thinking they understood Airplane, went off and made their own movie, which was mainly an excuse to have a lot of guest stars in the picture.
Right.
I happened to catch just a little bit of it on TV this morning, and it is dire.
It's like it became
not
self-aware,
a good
right?
movie.
It became like self-aware of what was supposed to be funny about it. Or
it
something.
just didn't work at all.
Oh man. Well, I thank you so much for calling in. I'll call you Mr. Dante.
Thank you, Mr.
Out
Dante.
of respect.
My pleasure.
Maybe we'll have you on again at some point and do a deeper
Okay,
dive into
keep it-
your career. I'd appreciate that.
Check out my podcast, the movies that made me.
The movies that. Oh, I'd love to
Oh,
listen to
yeah.
that. I appreciate
like it.
that.
It's a Trailers from Hell podcast.
We'll just talk
So
about
anyway,
movies. I love it. All right, sir.
Happy-
all the best.
Happy birthday!
Oh,
and
thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Take care.